Welcome back to Elizabeth Plants. I'm Elizabeth, and today we are going to be doing just a little bit of repotting. I've got a handful of smaller plants to repot. I'm sitting in this corner by my patio door because it's already pretty dirty and needs to be cleaned, and I'm repotting, so lighting's not perfect here. But I've got a little surface I'm repotting on, hopefully to make the mess less. Got some soil here. I've also got some more I can go get if need be. And then I've got a couple of smaller plants that we're repotting today. Let's just get started. I've got two plants that I've been keeping outside. However, they keep getting knocked over by the wind, so I want to put them in heavier pots. We've got this little, I believe it's a Dracaena. I believe. And then my lucky bamboo. Both of these are outside because my cats like to chew on them, and I don't want my cats to chew on them, but they keep getting knocked over, and that's just not helpful. So we're going to repot. So I've picked these two pots to go out there. I believe this one it looks like it might necessarily be bigger, but it's got a smaller bottom. So we're going to put the smaller root system in this one. I mean, it's just going to be a normal repot. I'll talk about the plants that I'm repotting because not all of them are beautiful. But this is a plant that I actually had intended on giving away before the move, but forgot. And so now I'm going to keep him and put him outside, see how big we can get him to grow. The soil he was in was pretty dry, so he needed a repot anyways. And to be fair, most of my soils are kind of dry at the moment. But I would still like to repot, and just with the idea in mind that I'll probably have to refresh the soil fairly soon. This guy didn't have any real issues with the move. Which is good because he was struggling just a little bit before the move happened. Had quite a few yellow leaves that dropped off the bottom, but he still continues to grow and seems to be pretty content with his life. Now, the soil I'm using has diatomaceous earth and a fertilizer mixed in already. So I will not be fertilizing this guy. It's a slow release fertilizer, so he should be good. But I am going to top water him after the video is done. Ta-da! And that pot does have a dish, but I'm using the dish for something else, so he doesn't get to use the dish. My lucky bamboo is not faring so well. He's in LECA, and I can't keep him watered or not knocked over long enough to keep watered. So what I am actually going to be doing is switching him from LECA to soil, but also my cats chew on it. It doesn't get enough fertilizer. It needs a good clean. Like it's doing pretty rough these days. So I'm hoping that putting it in soil will give it the nutrients that it needs, and then I'm gonna stick it in the shower to rinse it off as well. Hopefully being on the patio, my cat's shredding it, knocking it over, the wind knocking it over, like hopefully it'll just live a much better life in general. It's got a pretty good root system. Its root system pretty much in its entirety is used to being in water or being in LECA. So it'll probably take a while to adjust to neither, but I'm hoping not too long. Ta-da! This is a tall plant, so it'll probably take a minute for the root system to adjust to being in soil, but I'm hoping it'll still be fairly stable. All right, this first one I believe to be my pastazanum. What's left of it did drop what leaf it had left, I believe either right before the move or during the move. But I'm going to move it from this clear pot to this cute little pot, just because this doesn't seem to sit in the pot. It's not cute, but I want it in this pot while the root system rebuilds, because it did have quite a bit of rot. So we're going to do that. Now what's left of this guy is not great, so I'm hoping by putting him in a smaller pot, it will help him. I'm gonna actually bury him quite deep so that any of these nodes can possibly become root nodes. Ta-da! I think he looks really cute. This pot was gifted to me, and I'm excited for him to become healthier. This is the next pot we are planting into, and this is the next plant. This is what's left of my Cebu Blue after the cat kind of knocked it off the shelf one too many times, but I'm going to put it in this tall pot. I'm hoping that this pot isn't too large for it, but I want to give it space to kind of fill up the pot. And I'm hoping that it will be happy. Now, if I pull it out of here and I think the root system's too small, I'm just going to put it back into this pot, but I'm going to give her a try. There is actually a lot of really interesting and potentially awesome stuff happening in the soil. But I'm also finding a lot of root rot. There's tons of these little sprouts. And I'm kind of sad that I disturbed them now, but we're already in. So I'm going to pull out all of the rotted roots from the soil and stick her back in the clear one. I'm going to mix the soil that it's in, it was already in, with some new soil, because what it's in is holding a lot of moisture, and I don't want to encourage rot. We've got a lot of stumps doing things, so hopefully they're doing good things. I'm hoping that I didn't disturb him in like a irreversible way, but I'm going to water him nice and thoroughly now that he's got a lot of dry soil in here, and then I'm just gonna wait to put him in this pot until his root system's a little bit more robust and all of those growths that are happening underneath the surface break the surface. For now, he'll just sit in there. Next, I'm putting all of these guys back in the elephant. I really liked them in the elephant. I just didn't want to move them in the elephant, so I'm going to put them back now. These guys seem to be mostly faring well. However, we do have a lot of lost leaves, I imagine, from the move, because they're all already in the soil. So I will be popping those on top of the soil in hopes that they grow, because they came from this guy. And then if there is more space on the elephant that needs to be filled, I'll see if there's succulents elsewhere that I can't pop in. Not going to be using a different soil. I'm going to stick with what they're used to. Especially since they're going to be in ceramic, which is super water wicking. This guy seemed to be enjoying his life the most. I don't know if you can see it over the white of my shirt because they're tiny, tiny roots. But he has more than he had when we originally planted him, which is awesome. And I really liked the composition I had before, so I'm just sticking with it to the best of my ability. This setup is going to be quite messy until I water it to kind of flush the soil down. So hopefully they don't mind. Like I said, I will be watering right after this video. And you know what? I'm actually going to place the leaves on top after I water it because I don't know if I'm going to need to add more. But for now, ta-da! All right, next we are putting my Winlandii into this pot. He's doing fine. There's no reason that I'm repotting him other than the pot he's currently in doesn't really fit inside this. So I can't really do the cash pot realm for him. So this pot is a little bit bigger, particularly at the bottom. So this will be plenty of pot for him to grow into, which I think is kind of cool. Because he's Syngonium, when he's big enough, I'll stick more cuttings in here to kind of fill him out. But for now, I kind of like that he's tall and slender. Now this pot is sealed on the inside. It's not like unglazed terracotta on the inside. So I imagine it's going to hold water pretty well. So I'm glad I'm putting kind of a drier soil in it, more draining soil. Ta-da! We have 2 more we're doing, and I definitely don't have enough soil. So I'm gonna go get some more. All right, this is the next one we are doing. I believe this is just a cutting of the original plant. And I honestly think that there's some elbow in here with this guy, which I don't think was on purpose. Either that or, yeah, I don't think that was on purpose, but it's kind of cool. So I'm kind of going with it, actually. And I'm going to be putting it in this pot, even though it does kind of hide well in there. I think it will be nicer. It'll keep him more moist to be in here, and right now he's drying out so fast. Ta-da! I think he just looks really cute. He's going to grow into this pot beautifully. Now this final plant is kind of sad. I am going to be putting it in this pot, which is very small, very shallow anyways. And this is a alocasia nub. It's got a good root system, and it keeps trying to grow, but then just doesn't. So hopefully giving it a different pot and some refresh in its soil will be really helpful, because what it's in right now is dry and it's too small, so we can't hold enough moisture. And in my experience, if you don't give alocasia enough moisture, both in the air and in its soil, but not too much in its soil, it doesn't treat you right. Ta-da! I think in time this could potentially be very cool, but once its root system rehabs and it starts growing, it'll probably need something bigger, but for now. And so that's everything that I wanted to repot today. Essentially, that's anything that was in these glass containers that needed to be repot to fit in the pot, to look nice. I've started unpacking things, but I'm also starting to try and make it look nice, especially since all of my plants, at least all of the small ones, are going to be in display cases now. I want it to look like they're on display. This is kind of step one in doing that with what I've got so far. Let me know your thoughts. If you want to see a tour of these cases when I'm done, let me know. Give this video a thumbs up if you like this kind of content. Comment down below which pot that I planted into was your favorite, which plant is your favorite or your least favorite. And then subscribe to see more houseplant content. Ring the bell to be notified when I post. I will see you next time.